If your mind is broken, your life will be chaos. But the Stoics had brutal truths gold clear and effective. Follow them, and you'll rebuild yourself from the inside out. Ignore them, and you'll stay lost forever. Life doesn't wait for you to be ready. The world won't soften itself for your comfort. But the ancient Stoics understood something most people today don't, that your life is nothing but a reflection of your mind. If your thinking is weak, your actions will be aimless. If your emotions rule you, your peace will abandon you. This video will give you 10 brutal Stoic rules, not gentle advice, but raw philosophy that demands transformation. These aren't quotes to admire, they're rules to live by. Fix your mind and your life will follow. Let's begin. The world has convinced you that fixing your life starts with changing your circumstances, more money, a better relationship, a new city, a fresh routine. But the Stoics knew better. They knew the root of all suffering and all transformation begins in the mind. You can move to another country, change your wardrobe, or find a new circle of friends. But if your thinking is broken, everything you touch will crumble. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire, yet he wrote in his private journal, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wasn't a motivational quote. It was a commandment, and it still applies to every man and woman who's tired of living below their potential. If your life is in disarray, your mind is the battlefield, and the only way out is through a complete rewiring of how you see pain, pressure, people, and purpose. The first brutal truth is this: you are not a victim. The moment you believe the world owes you comfort or fairness, you've surrendered your power. Life isn't fair, but it is consistent. It rewards clarity, effort, and discipline. The Stoics weren't interested in complaining. They were interested in responding with reason. Seneca was exiled. Epictetus was born a slave. Marcus lost children, battled plagues, and faced betrayal. Yet none of them let circumstances define their identity. They looked inward. They asked, "What can I control?" If your identity is built on blame, you'll always stay broken. But if it's built on responsibility, you become unshakable. That is the beginning of real power. The second rule is silence. Most people speak to prove they're right, to be heard, or to be liked. But the Stoic speaks only when it improves the silence. Fixing your mind requires discipline of the tongue. Words are mirrors of thought. If your speech is reckless, your thinking is undisciplined. Learn to observe before you react. Learn to listen before you speak. A man who controls his words controls his life. In a world of noise, become the calm voice others turn to, not the loud voice everyone ignores. Third, comfort is the enemy. Nothing keeps a man soft like routine indulgence. Modern life sells convenience as progress: instant food, instant validation, instant distraction. But Stoicism demands voluntary hardship. Take cold showers. Walk instead of driving. Fast for 24 hours. Wake before dawn. Not because these things are trendy, but because they sharpen the will. If you can deny yourself comfort, you can control your cravings. And if you control your cravings, the world has nothing over you. You become mentally sovereign. You don't need pleasure to perform, praise to feel worthy, or entertainment to feel alive. This is the foundation of inner fortitude. Fourth, people are mirrors, not masters. Most of your suffering comes not from what others do, but from how you interpret their actions. You feel rejected because you assign meaning to indifference. You feel betrayed because you expected loyalty from the untested. But Stoicism teaches detachment, not coldness, but clarity. People are allowed to be who they are. You don't control their character, only your response. The minute you accept that, your emotional life becomes stable. You stop chasing validation and start cultivating virtue. You stop reacting and start observing. And in that calm, you realize most of your drama wasn't caused by others, it was allowed by you. Fifth, your emotions are not commands. Anger doesn't mean act. Sadness doesn't mean stop. Fear doesn't mean flee. Emotions are whether they pass. But modern minds mistake feelings for facts. The Stoic learns to feel fully but act wisely. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our opinions about them." You can't control the storm, but you can choose not to build your house in the flood. Emotional mastery isn't about being numb, it's about being deliberate. When anger arises, observe it. When despair visits, welcome it like a guest, but don't let it move in. This is how you build resilience. This is how you become unbreakable, not by avoiding pain, but by refusing to become it. Sixth, discipline is freedom. Most people think freedom is doing what they want, but real freedom is doing what is right even when you don't want to. The lazy man is a slave to his moods. The undisciplined man is ruled by appetites. But the Stoic is free because his actions are chosen, not reactive. Build structure. Set non-negotiable routines. Cut out time-wasting habits. Focus on what builds, not what distracts. Your mind needs order. Your soul needs boundaries. The chaos you tolerate becomes the life you live. Fix your mornings, and your day follows. Fix your thoughts, and your future obeys. This is brutal, but it's reality. If you want peace, earn it through daily self-discipline. 7th, death is your anchor. Remembering your mortality puts everything in perspective. That insult, that failure, that fear, it all fades beneath the shadow of death. Memento mori, the Stoics would say. You will die. Everyone you love will die. And this is not morbid. It is empowering. It reminds you to waste no time. It reminds you to speak truth now, to act now, to love now. Stop waiting. You're not promised more chances. Stop thinking your pain is permanent. It too will die. What lives forever is your character, your choices, your courage in the face of the unknown. Let death sharpen your mind, not numb your soul. 8th, avoid the mob. Not just the crowds in the street, but the crowds in your head. Popular opinion is a swamp. The herd mentality will drag you toward comfort, outrage, or fake virtue. But the Stoic stands alone, not out of arrogance, but out of integrity. Don't tweet for likes. Don't speak for claps. Don't move just because everyone else is moving. Ask yourself, is this true? Is this right? Is this needed? If not, walk away. Your mind is polluted every time you let unworthy influences shape your decisions. Protect it like a temple. Let only truth, reason, and virtue pass through its doors. 9th, comparison is poison. Your race is your own. Looking at others distorts your view of yourself. The Stoics didn't measure worth by wealth, status, or appearance. They measured it by inner strength. If you're growing, you're winning. If you're truthful, you're thriving. If you're calm when others panic, focused when others drift, and principled when others compromise, then you are becoming what most never will, whole. Fixing your mind means turning inward. It means defining success by effort, not applause. It means breaking free from needing to be better than, and instead, striving to be better than yesterday. 10th, the obstacle is the path. Pain isn't the end, it's the beginning. Every hardship, every rejection, every breakdown is a mirror showing you where you're still soft, still untrained, still reactive. Don't curse your suffering, use it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. You grow by doing the hard thing, you change by facing what you avoid. Fixing your mind is not therapy, it's training. And training hurts. But nothing else transforms. If you want a different life, start here. Not by waiting, but by walking into the fire and using it to forge someone new. You might think after hearing those 10 rules that your transformation has begun. But here's the truth, hearing them changes nothing. Knowing them changes little. The Stoics weren't obsessed with knowledge. They were obsessed with application. A man who studies wisdom but doesn't live it is no different from the one who ignores it entirely. Seneca put it clearly, philosophy teaches us to act, not to speak. So if you're serious about fixing your mind, the next brutal rule is this: live as though someone is watching your soul, not your image, because someone is you are. And every time you betray your values, even when no one else sees it, something inside you corrodes. A lie you tell yourself, a shortcut you take, a promise you break. These are the quiet cracks that become massive fractures later. The Stoic life is a disciplined one, not because it's glamorous, but because it's the only path that maintains the integrity of your inner world. And that brings us to the most ignored principle of all, humility. Most people break not because they're too weak, but because they thought they were too strong to fall. They believe they've mastered their emotions, until one betrayal knocks them down. They think they've outgrown suffering, until life delivers a hit they didn't expect. But the Stoic is always preparing. Not paranoid but humble. He knows he is human, and being human means subject to temptation, anger, grief, ego. The Stoic doesn't pretend to be above it all. He just trains harder than it. He rehearses setbacks. He visualizes insult. He expects betrayal not to be cynical, but to remain composed. That's the lesson in premeditatio malorum, the preparation for the worst. You don't just hope for strength in the storm, you train in the calm, so you don't collapse when it comes. This humility also applies to knowledge. The Stoics weren't loud philosophers. They didn't argue in the streets or debate for fame. Their wisdom came from solitude, from silence, from rigorous self-examination. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, still began each morning reminding himself not to be proud, not to be fooled by status or applause. How many modern minds crumble because they forget this? A small success, a bit of praise, and suddenly they stop learning, stop reflecting. But real Stoic wisdom requires perpetual discomfort, not the physical kind, but the intellectual kind. You question your assumptions. You challenge your narratives. You suspect that what you believe may be incomplete or even wrong. That is not weakness. That is the only way to sharpen truth. To fix your mind, you must first unlearn everything that's made it weak. Now, let's talk about solitude, not loneliness. Solitude, the deliberate choice to be alone, not to escape people, but to return to yourself. The modern world fears solitude because it has taught you that silence is emptiness. But the Stoic knows that silence is space. Space to think, to correct, to become aware of the patterns in your behavior that keep repeating. When you're constantly surrounded by noise, you cannot see yourself. When you're always distracted, you cannot confront your own inconsistencies. Fixing your mind means carving out time, every single day, to return to yourself. Ask, what did I do well today? What did I fail at? What emotion ruled me? What thought weakened me? And what can I do tomorrow to correct course? This is Stoicism in motion, not quotes, not books, but the daily work of confronting your reflection. And while solitude strengthens, connection tests, the people around you are your training ground. Stoicism isn't just practiced on mountains or in journals. It's practiced in conversations with difficult people, in forgiveness of the person who wronged you, in restraint when your ego wants to explode. Every conflict is an opportunity to fortify your inner walls. You are not fixing your mind just for yourself, but for the version of you that enters the world. The version that leads, influences, holds the line. The version that speaks truth in rooms that echo with lies. People will test your patience, your principles, your self-control. That's a gift. Without them, you'd never know what you've actually mastered. Now hear this. Most people don't want to fix their mind. They want to feel better without changing. But Stoicism is not comfort. It is confrontation. Confrontation with your desires, your excuses, your illusions. And the Stoic knows that the path forward is often through what's most painful. That heartbreak, it revealed your dependence. That rejection, it revealed your false sense of entitlement. That loss, it revealed your attachment. You can either resent these revelations or embrace them because they show you where the real work is. They show you the fractures beneath the surface. And once you see them, you can't pretend they're not there. You either repair them with discipline or you continue to rot beneath a polished exterior. Let's go deeper. Most people think their thinking is fine, but they never ask who built it. Your mind has been shaped by advertising, culture, trauma, your parents' beliefs, your school system, entertainment, and your own fears. Yet you've rarely questioned its architecture. Stoicism demands a mental audit. Why do you believe what you believe? Who benefits from your beliefs? What pain do your current thoughts help you avoid? You'll be shocked to realize how much of your thinking isn't yours. It's inherited, it's reactive, it's cowardice in disguise. Fixing your mind isn't about adding new beliefs, it's about stripping away the false ones. What remains is what you can finally trust. This work is brutal, and it is never ending, but it is the only work that truly liberates you. Most people chase goals to distract themselves from their inner disorder. They change jobs, buy things, start relationships, all in the hope that the chaos will settle. But it never does, because the chaos is internal. Until you change how you think, how you perceive, how you choose to respond, nothing external will bring peace. The Stoics weren't obsessed with success. They were obsessed with self-mastery because they knew that everything you chase is fragile, it can be taken, but what you build inside, your courage, your clarity, your conviction, cannot be stolen. So, ask yourself now, not tomorrow, am I willing to go through the fire? Am I willing to destroy the weak parts of me that I've used to survive, so I can build the strong parts I'll need to truly live? This is not philosophy for the soft. This is not morning inspiration. This is mental warfare. And only those willing to fight ruthlessly and daily will come out of it reborn. If you've made it this far, it means something in you refuses to keep living on autopilot. Something in you is done with excuses, done with reacting, done with living below your potential. But before you go further, you must understand this. Transformation is not a single moment. It's not a rush of motivation or a new calendar plan. It's not found in a book or a podcast. It is a quiet, relentless war against every part of you that wants to stay the same. And that war is won, or lost, in the decisions you make when no one is watching. Here's the next brutal Stoic truth. No one is coming to fix you. Not your parents, not your friends, not your mentor, not a new relationship, not a meta job. It's all on you. Epictetus said, "You may fetter my leg, but my will not even Zeus himself can overpower that." What he meant was clear. The power is within. Always has been. But most people avoid that truth because with it comes full responsibility. And responsibility terrifies the weak. It's easier to blame than to build. Easier to wait than to rise. Easier to fantasize than to face. But the Stoic doesn't seek ease. He seeks clarity. And clarity always begins with ownership. So ask yourself right now, what have I been avoiding ownership of? My health, my emotions, my habits, my lack of discipline. If you're brutally honest, you'll feel a sting. That sting is good. That sting is the pain of awakening. Most people numb that sting with distraction, food, scrolling, substances, constant noise. But the Stoic leans into it. He uses it. That discomfort becomes fuel. It becomes the raw material of self-reconstruction. You do not change by feeling better. You change by deciding that your pain will not be wasted. It will be weaponized, refined, forged into strength. And part of that strength is learning to choose your suffering. You're going to suffer either way, through discipline or through regret, through daily effort or through eventual collapse. The Stoics were not against suffering. They were against meaningless suffering. So when they fasted, when they endured cold, when they denied themselves pleasure, it wasn't for show. It was for preparation. They understood that voluntary hardship builds the muscle required for inevitable hardship. You want to be strong when life hits you. Then start by hitting yourself with restraint, with rigor, with relentless consistency. And here's a truth most people will never accept. You will outgrow people, you will lose friends, you will be misunderstood. When you begin living by Stoic principles, when you start fixing your mind, holding your tongue, showing discipline, walking away from drama, you'll make some people uncomfortable. Why? Because your growth will expose their stagnation. Your silence will highlight their noise. Your peace will challenge their chaos. And they'll resent you for it. But don't shrink. Don't apologize for changing. You are not here to be understood by everyone. You are here to become who you were meant to be. And if that journey leads to solitude, so be it. The Stoic walks alone when he must. Not because he hates the world, but because he refuses to betray himself to fit into it. Now let's talk about anger. You will be provoked. You will be insulted. People will lie, cheat, betray. The test is not whether these things happen, it's how you respond. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you. That line alone could save your life. Most people destroy themselves not because of what others do, but because of how they react. The Stoic pauses, breathes, questions. He doesn't let his emotions grab the wheel. That's not weakness, it's power. Emotional control isn't suppression. It's the ability to observe the storm without becoming it. And that brings us to a rule that may sting. Comfort is the enemy. Comfort makes you soft, makes you indecisive, makes you reactive. The Stoic doesn't seek pain, but he refuses to make comfort the goal. Because he knows that a comfortable life is rarely a meaningful one. You will never build an unbreakable mind while constantly seeking to feel better. The goal isn't to feel good all the time. The goal is to feel grounded no matter what time it is. That kind of inner strength doesn't come from luxury. It comes from friction, from resistance, from rising every time you fall. Comfort is for those who've accepted their decline. Stoicism is for those who plan to rise again and again, no matter how hard the fall. At this point, you may be wondering, is it worth it? Is it worth all the sacrifice, the discipline, the solitude, the internal battles? And the answer is yes, but only if you understand what's truly at stake. What's at stake is not just your success, not just your happiness. What's at stake is your soul, your peace, your ability to look in the mirror at the end of the day and know without a doubt that you didn't lie to yourself today, that you didn't fold, that you didn't let fear dictate your choices, that you didn't betray your principles. That kind of life is rare, and it's priceless. Here's what they won't tell you. You don't need more advice. You don't need another self-help book. You don't need a new identity. You need repetition. You need mastery of the basics. You need to do the same hard things every single day until they no longer feel hard. That is how you rewire the mind. Not through dopamine hits of inspiration, but through brutal consistency. Through showing up when it's boring, when it's inconvenient, when no one is cheering. The Stoics were warriors not because they fought wars, but because they waged war within themselves and won. So, here's where you stand now. You've heard the truths. You've faced the mirror. You know the cost. And now, only one question remains. Will you do the work? Because no one else can. Not me. Not the Stoics. Not a coach or a guru. You must make the choice to fix your mind. to stop being ruled by emotion, to stop blaming the world, to stop running from discomfort, to stop waiting for permission to change. This is your life, and your mind is the master key. Either you take control of it or it will continue to control you. We've now walked through pain, solitude, silence, self-discipline, and the fire of transformation. But before you walk away thinking you've learnt enough, remember this. Stoicism is not something you understand once and keep forever. It's a practice, a training ground. You sharpen your mind like a sword end every day. Life tries to dull it again. Your job is to keep sharpening, not just once a month, not when it's convenient every single day, because your old self is always waiting to come back. That lazy, reactive, excuse-making version of you is still in there, whispering, "It's okay to skip today. You've done enough." The Stoic doesn't negotiate with that voice. He shuts it down with action. Now here's the brutal truth the modern world wants to suppress. You are not entitled to happiness. You are not owed peace. You are not promised success. These things are earned, and often, they are earned alone. There will be days you feel like the only one who thinks this way. Days you look around and see people numbing themselves with comfort, chasing validation, pretending they're free when they're slaves to impulse. And it will be tempting to join them, but you won't, because you've seen the other side, you've tasted clarity, and now confusion feels like poison. You've seen how sharp your mind can become, and now dullness disgusts you. You've felt what it's like to be internally grounded while everything outside is spinning. And once you know that strength, you can't unknow it. And yet, even in your strongest moments, life will hit you. The world is indifferent. It does not care how hard you've worked, how well you've prepared, or how much you've suffered. Pain will come, loss will come. Betrayal, illness, setbacks. They are not optional, but suffering over them is. And this is where Stoicism becomes more than a philosophy, it becomes a shield. When the world strikes, you don't collapse. You absorb the hit. You stand back up, you breathe, and you say what Marcus Aurelius would have said. Is this what I feared? Is this what disturbed me? Because you've trained for this. Because you've built something unshakable within. But the Stoic also knows he is not immortal. Death is the final teacher, and far from avoiding it, he stares it down daily. Memento mori, remember that you will die. This is not meant to scare you, it's meant to focus you. When you understand that your time is limited, your excuses shrink, your distractions look pathetic, your pettiness dissolves. Suddenly, what matters comes into razor focus. Your thoughts, your actions, your virtue, your discipline, your impact. These become the only currency. And each day becomes a battlefield you must win before the night comes, because there may not be another. Here's another lesson most will ignore. You do not fix yourself by adding more. You fix yourself by subtracting, by removing the need to always be right, by discarding the urge to please everyone, by deleting the thoughts that don't serve you, by walking away from people who drain you, by eliminating dependencies that weaken you. The Stoic doesn't need much to be at peace. Just a clean mind and a firm heart. He is not attached to outcomes. He acts because it is right, not because it guarantees reward, and in this way, he becomes unshakable. You can take everything from him except his response. So what are the final brutal rules? They are not new. They are eternal. Own your mind. Accept what you cannot control. Take action in what you can. Detach from praise and blame. Practice voluntary hardship. Cut distractions. Stay calm. Embrace solitude. Prepare for death. And above all, live in alignment with your principles, no matter the cost. If you do this, you will not become invincible. You will become something better, calm in chaos, steady in storms, and true to yourself in a world that constantly tries to mold you. And when that world looks at you with confusion, when they don't understand your quiet power, your lack of emotional chaos, your refusal to follow the crowd, let them wonder. You were not made to be understood by everyone. You were made to live in truth. You were made to conquer your own mind. And when you do that, when you truly live these Stoic laws, you will realize something most people never will. Fixing yourself isn't about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you to be anything else. Now go do the work. Every rule you heard today wasn't meant to impress you, it was meant to confront you. Real change doesn't come from motivation. It comes from self-discipline, honesty, and a refusal to keep living the same story. Remember, the Stoics weren't trying to be like they were trying to live rightly, and so should you. Comment below which rule hit hardest, and write, "I fix my life by fixing my mind." Subscribe for more raw Stoic truths, and never forget your mind is the battlefield. Win there, and you win everywhere.